Hi, it's Dorothy Guiney with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'll be creating a 12 by 12 layout featuring Stampin' Up's Weekend Adventures Scrapbooking Workshop Kit and the Autumn Trees Stamp and Die Bundle. Both of these are current products, and everything I use will be listed below along with my link to Stampin' Up. If you live in Canada and use the link, I will get a commission, and please know I appreciate your support more than words could possibly describe. I'm going to be creating a single page today because I do have a cold. I'm trying to keep this short. However, at the end of this video, I will show you the complimentary page I created to go with this layout, and I will explain exactly how I created it, and you will see it is very, very easy to create. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's what's on my table. You can see in advance I double matted two photos. That's me apple picking with my husband. So I double matted them in basic beige and old olive two-tone cardstock. I went ahead and did it because I matted the photos in the complimentary page the very same way. So that decision was kind of already made. Here's my frame style foundation page. I did it with three papers, so basic beige, old olive, and that gingham paper from the Weekend Adventures collection. I did gut it. There's a tutorial on my channel where I explain how to do that, so that's going to be listed and linked below. I'm showing you the other paper. So I have more of that gingham paper. I end up using both sides. I have that old olive two-tone cardstock. That first piece of wood grain that I showed you in my right hand, that's actually in the Weekend Adventures Workshop Kit. There are two of them, but I've already used up one of them. So for this project with the complimentary page, I needed more than one wood grain paper, so I dug into my Country Woods paper pack as well. That is a Stampin' Up product also. I'm showing you I have two sticker sheets. One of them came in the workshop kit. One of them was in a paper pack from this very same collection that I already had. I have a bunch of ephemera. I'm showing you how it came on these punch-out sheets. Again, this is part of the workshop kit. And the workshop kit as well comes with step-by-step instructions with all the material, of course, for creating 3 double-page spreads. So this guide has measuring guides, step-by-step instructions. It's all in color, so it's really fun. I'm not going to be using one of the designs today, but I just wanted to show you what comes in the workshop kits. I also have the Autumn Trees Stamp and Die bundle as well. So now let's have a look at my photos on the page, and I just want to let you know how I plan to move forward with this. I'm more or less going to be creating an exploding photo mat where I start with photos, then create all kinds of layers underneath which kind of form an organic shape on the foundation page. So right now I'm just playing around with the different papers, looking at what I will be using for layers. I decide I'm going to go with the black and white stripe along with the gingham, so I'm going to use both sides along with that wood grain paper. I decided against the green because my photos are matted in green and there wouldn't be much of a contrast. I'm showing you I have these layering tag dies. These are in my stash. It's an older product from Elizabeth Craft Designs. And I'm going to be cutting myself out some tags, and that's going to be my layers. Now this can be replaced simply with rectangles of paper, or you can create your own tags, and a little bit later on I'll show you how to do that if you don't have large tag dies. So as you can see, I've cut myself out one tag, and off camera I cut out a few more, and you can see I'm adding a bit of ink, and the ink I'm using is Smokey Slate from Stampin' Up. Also, I added reinforcers to each one of those tags. So now I am placing them on my foundation page with the photos just to give you an idea how I plan to move forward. The idea here is I don't want anything lined up. I want everything to be kind of staggered and layered. You may notice everything is overlapping and nothing is lined up. Now, before continuing with those stamps and dies, I just want to show you how you can create your own tags if you don't have tag dies. It's really, really easy. all you have to do is cut yourself out a rectangle, and I will put measurements for my tags on the screen later on in the process. But basically, you take a rectangle and then you kind of fold it over without creasing your paper, and then simply snip the corners. That gives you two identical angles. Then you take a hole punch and punch a hole in the middle, and you have a great little travel tag, and you can do that in whatever size you want. So now what I want to do is start creating that tree from the Autumn Trees bundle, and this was in the September-December 2025 mini catalog. I'm showing you that I played around with these stamps and dies before this video, and I'm showing you a few different examples. So these ones here, basically I stamped them on basic beige cardstock in early espresso ink, and then I colored them in with Stampin' Blends. I used Old Olive, the light and dark Stampin' Blends, as well as Soft Suede, I think. So I did one where I colored the entire thing in, and the other one you can see I left a little white edge. What I'm going to do for this video is a little bit different. It looks a bit weird because if you look at it, the trunk is green, but that is going to be hidden because, again, I'm going to be layering everything up. What I'm going to do is use Old Olive two-tone cardstock, the dark side, and I'm going to place my stamp in my stamp positioner, and I'm going to ink it up with early espresso ink. Then I'm going to stamp on the Old Olive cardstock. Again, I may have mentioned it, it is the dark side that I'm using here. So I am going to press to make sure I get a nice impression here. I press down real hard, and then what I will do, because this is a stamp positioner, I'm going to do it again just so that I get a really nice detailed impression. And by the way, these stamps are incredibly detailed, and you will notice in a few moments the dies are really detailed as well. So once this is down, then what I will do is I'll clean up my stamp, and I'm going to clean up this, and I will get out my die cutting machine. So now I have my die cutting machine. I'm going to show you the dies. For the large tree, there are a few different dies. One of them cuts out the base tree. There's also a layering piece for the tree, which basically embosses the tree and cuts out some more details. And then there's another layering piece that's extremely detailed that you can layer on top of the tree. There are other dies in there as well. There's one that's like a row of deer on grass. Super, super beautiful. I used it for another layout, but I don't use it in this video. I'm going to start by die cutting the base of the tree. Now I could do the base as well as the embossing at the same time, but instead I'm doing them one after the other. You may have noticed my camera died there. Sorry about that. You really didn't miss much. Anyway, I cut out the base tree, and now what you see me doing is positioning the layering piece, the embossing piece, on top of it. When I was playing around with this die set before this video, I did them both at the same time, and it worked perfectly well. But for some reason, I felt like I had more control when I did them separately. So now you're going to see what it looks like, and it's absolutely beautiful. All of the little branches die cut out, and they cut out so nicely, so easily. Now what I'm going to do is cut out another piece, and I'm going to go back to the base layer, but this time I am doing it in the Cajun Craze two-tone cardstock. It's not even wide enough for it, but basically what I want to do is add a bit of color underneath that tree where there are punched out holes. So you can see what it looks like now. You can also imagine using these dies in multiple colors to make absolutely beautiful autumn trees. So the possibilities are absolutely endless. Right now, what I'm doing is using the Old Olive two-tone cardstock, but this time on the light side, and I'm cutting out this layered detailed piece, and you're going to see it's very detailed, but it cuts out so easily and so well. I must say, I am very impressed. So that's what it's going to look like. What I'm going to do is tidy this up and adhere all of this together. So I'm adhering the tree on top of that Cajun Craze base layer. And even though it's not big enough, you can't see it. It really fills in the holes underneath the tree, which is what I was looking for. And I'm using my Sticky Specs adhesive by Ecstasy Crafts to adhere the detailed piece on top, which is basically a sticky piece of paper which picks up the adhesive on a detailed die cut, and it's just easy to adhere detailed pieces with that adhesive. Now you can see I've got out my embellishment. So once again, I'm showing you the ephemera pieces that come in the workshop kit. Now I also have my alpha. So my title is Opum, which is what we say in Quebec when we go apple picking. I use the mini alpha dies, and what this does is it punches out an entire alphabet with one die. I'm showing you that I backed Cajun Craze two-tone cardstock in adhesive sheets, another product by Stampin' Up. That's what I'm showing you right now. So when I die cut that paper, my alphas are adhesive. I also have some gingham apples and some metallic maple leaves. Both of these I created with some retired tools from Stampin' Up. I created them for a previous project, but they are leftovers, so they are still in my tray. And I also have a bunch of these trees that I created with the Autumn Trees bundle. In addition to that, of course, I have these two sticker sheets. So now I'm ready to create my layout. And again, the technique I'm using, I like to call it the exploding photo mat. So I start with the photos and basically create an organic shape underneath my photos with lots of layers. So I have layers of paper. In this case, I have paper tags, and then I will be adding embellishments. Now, I am quite light-handed with this technique today, but it is a technique that's super fun, and you can continue adding and adding to it, depending on what kind of mood you are in. But it really is a fun technique, and it does create a nice organic shape around your photos. So I have my 3 tags placed. What I'm looking for here is nothing lined up, everything staggered. Now I'm starting to tuck things in, starting with that big tree. So I'm happy with that. What I do have to determine at this point is where my title and my journaling is going to go. And I'm telling you right off the bat, for the journaling, I have very, very little. My title is going to be Opum, which, as I mentioned earlier, means apple picking. So all I really want to add to that is the date and the place. I'm going to determine that at the very, very end, but also at the very end, if you have more journaling than that, I will give you a few ideas where you can add that journaling. So you can see my original idea was to place my title along the right side of the photo, but honestly, it's a bit too long and I didn't like it. I kind of tossed it to the side. I decided I'm going to think about that a bit later on and start playing with other embellishments. Now in the ephemera pack, there are a bunch of these long banners, and I thought maybe it might be kind of fun to add a shelf under my photos. But what I'm not liking about it is that it's covering up the bottom end of my black tag, and I really want that to show underneath the largest photo, kind of like my focal point photo. I want that to frame my focal point photo, even though it kind of bleeds off on the left-hand side. I still want it to pop out at the top and the bottom. So as you can see, I solved that problem by taking a pair of scissors to it. I cut it and just extended it. And when I placed my photo, the cut mark is hidden. So now I'm placing my shelf, and I'm happier with that. So I'm coming in with some of the other longer banners, and I'm liking this gingham one. I'm liking how the black adds to it, liking that I'm adding more black, and I think that gingham is just kind of fun. The only thing is it's not that long. I'm thinking it might be a great place to put my title because I didn't like it there over on the right. So I'm just putting Pum on that black and white gingham banner, just seeing how long I need it. So what you're going to see me do is just trim that banner, and what I am going to do is kind of fake it. I'm going to have it so that it looks like it passes underneath that photo on the right. So before I can actually continue with that, however, I do have to adhere my alphas to that banner, because once that's down, then I can adhere the banner so that it's tucked underneath my photo. As I mentioned earlier, these alphas are adhesive backed. So I'm just peeling off the wax paper and I'm going to adhere it to the banner, and they literally are the same size as that banner. So that's perfect, easy for placement. I'm not going to make you watch all of that. I just wanted to show you how I peel back the wax paper. Again, I do like that adhesive from Stampin' Up. I get quite a bit of use out of it, and it makes my alphas adhere nice and flat to the paper. So there you can see I adhered my title on the banner, and I also adhered both tags down. I'm still not quite ready to place the measurements on the screen. Actually, I will put the measurements on the screen now for the tags, but that black one, I do switch it up a bit later on as well. I basically tweak as I go, but the measurements I'll be putting on the screen will be for the final proper measurements. So now I'm adhering that red tag behind that small photo, and now I'm just lobbing off the bottom of that tree. When I place the tree behind the photo, the trunk is hidden, but there was the base of the tree with grass that was kind of sticking out, and it looked kind of lost in the middle of nowhere coming out to the right of the photo. So I just took my scissors and cut that off as well. So now you can see I am placing my shelf at the bottom of the page, and I am adhering it. And when I go to place my photos, it's then I decide that that black tag and the banner have to be moved up. For some strange reason, to me, when I was creating it, it felt just a little tiny bit too heavy at the bottom, and I didn't want to continue adhering and then have to remove everything to change it later on. So I figured it's best to stop now, and off camera, basically what I did was I moved it up an inch. So there is the final measurement, and that black tag in the end, like I wrote earlier, is 8 inches long. So basically I changed it by ½ an inch. Now what you see me doing is adhering the photos, and what I'm doing here is I want to maintain equal margins in that basic beige cardstock on each side. That's why I was measuring. So I'm just being mindful of that. Now I am adhering that tree behind the photo on the right. Then I will adhere the photo on the right. So I'm happy with all of this now. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Then what I will do is adhere my title with the banner. Once I made all these decisions, which were just little tweaking decisions, this is really an easy layout to create. So I have adhered the banner on the left side. Now I'm just fudging it, making it look like it's passing directly underneath that photo, and I'm happy with that. So I do have to come in with some finishing touches. First of all, I want to finish off my title, so I'm putting O right on top of my photo. Usually I don't adhere things on top of my photo, but I do have 2 other pages of apple picking in my album, so I'm okay with it. I don't need that many photos of me picking apples. So I'm happy with the title on top of my photo, and now I'm coming in with some finishing touches. So I do have some twine for my tags, and I am kind of digging into the ephemera bits, and I'm looking for smaller pieces. There are these tiny chevrons in a few different colors, and I'm happy with that. So you can see I have 3 that are pointing to my title. I do like that. And I have 2 more, basically a repetition of that in the kitty corner. So I'm adhering that now. I'm happy with that. Then what I will do is come in and add twine to my tags. I did try out a few twines earlier. In the end, the twine that I use is a very neutral color, and it comes from a twine pack from Stampin' Up. I think it's called Neutral Baker's Twine, something like that. I will list it below, but it's basically all neutral colors. It's the one I probably reach for the most often. So now I'm just adding a bit of twine. I will not make you watch all of that. And now I'm going to get out my sticker sheets here. At this point, I feel like my tree is a little bit too hidden. So I'm getting a sticker, I'm putting a heart on it because I want to put more emphasis on that tree. And I like that, but you are going to see in the end, I do tweak that tree a little bit more as well. Now I am showing you the complementary page, a really easy, simple 4-block grid. You can see that I will be adding 2 extra photos with a little flip flap there. And all I did was create a simple block. And in the middle of that block, I added one of those gingham apples there and a few leaves. That's it for embellishments at this point. For the measurements for this, basically that gingham measures 5 inches by 12 inches, the green 7 inches by 12 inches. The block in the middle is 8 3/4 inches by 8 3/4 inches. Now each one of those photos measures 3 by 4, and each mat is 1/4 inch larger than the previous block. That means, for example, the basic beige is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and the next mat 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. But basically, that's it. A super easy complementary page. Those are my 2 pages, and basically that's it. Here's my finished layout. Off camera, I did add my journaling on the complimentary page. Again, I didn't have much. All I had to do is write the date and the place. If you need more room to journal, what I would do is basically extend that tag, or what you could do is add some journaling on the tags on the focal point page. I also adjusted the positioning of the tree. You may notice it just sticks out a little bit further. I felt that it was just too beautiful to hide. But basically, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. As I mentioned in the intro, everything I used is listed below, along with my link to Stampin' Up. If you live in Canada and use the link, I will get a commission. And if you do order from my site, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it more than words can describe. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.